in
Yeah.
time,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
back in time when you were
Yeah.
in LA acting. Can we
Acting.
go back then?
Yeah, I lived in Paris. I lived in Colorado. Then I went home to Houston, went to college after living some life and figuring out what I wanted to do. Um, I'm sorry about the rooster.
Oh, don't be sorry. This is like, I love it. This is such a beautiful. I hope I don't get, I hope that this doesn't get reduced in the post production. I want that rooster in my,
We can
I
always do
want
another
that
one. I
rooster
can
in
sit
my
closer. I have a tack room. We can sit over by the tack room.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it's one of my favorite rooms is the tack room. I love the smell of leather and all my saddles, and that's very calming as well. So, our bodies will create the chemicals that we need to feel safe,
yeah.
and you do it for yourself by your own practice. And so that's why Pilates is so akin to yoga because it is a mind body practice. You lie down on the floor and you do your practice, you do the work daily. And it's not about working out, it's about working in.
Um,
And so that's why you were taught how to connect to the TA first with the full exhalation. And then you have the other layers, the other muscles of the powerhouse. I just want to wrap up what the powerhouse is. You have your glutes, your inner thighs, your inner and external obliques, and your six pack, and your diaphragm.
mhm.
So think about a ballerina who wears a leotard. It's this entire area that is your center. In women, your center of your body is about 2 inches below your navel because we have a wider pelvis.
Uh-huh.
And men, they're narrow, they're higher up, but your center of gravity is the center of self. And your powerhouse, you have to turn the electricity on in your powerhouse by connecting to these muscles in a coordinated effort.
Right.
So I'm lifting my arm, but what happened is what you didn't see is that I actually pulled my belly in to lift my arm. Just like a ballerina doing a port de bras, she's moving from center because she's up on point. So dancers, I always go back to dance because they're automatically stable. And they're using their TA muscle to stabilize their trunk while they're moving, right? And
Mhm.
and now athletes are going into Pilates to strengthen their core muscles, right? And their shoulder girdle and their pelvic girdle are where we have the most stabilizing muscles.
Right.
So they're learning how to use slow twitch muscles, stabilizing muscles to increase their performance so that they understand how to move from center. And you can beautifully see it with dancers because they're analogous to that.
True.
Right. They're
Yeah.
always you're always moving from center, and your body does it automatically already. All you have to do is turn the volume up 100% on those muscles with a full exhalation. So, because that's what the TA muscle already does for you. It already helps expire muscles. I mean, to expire the air out of the lungs. It's expiring, it's pushing the air out. And so a cue that we use a lot in Pilates is that you're wringing out your gut like a wet rag on every single rep in the mat work or on the reformer. So that requires, therefore, concentration and control and centering, breath, precision, and flow while you're doing this execution of the movement. And that's why it's defined as a mind body movement system.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I got a little wordy, but you are moving from the center. So it's analogous to self esteem, self control, self regulation, not letting your emotions or your stress run away from you so that you do or make bad decisions that aren't good for you. It's all about appreciating this amazing Ferrari that we're driving around and just tuning it up and understanding how it works. So Pilates gives you that power back. I'm handing you back your own powerhouse. I'm
Uh-huh.
teaching you from my powerhouse. And so the more women I can turn on to their powerhouse where their posture improves, their way of life improves, their communication to their own body improves, then my life's been worth it. It's what I've done for myself. So I love sharing it. Yeah.
Thank you for doing what you're doing. This is very
Yeah.
important. We all have access to that wisdom. We just need to learn to tap into it.
Yes.
Let
Yes.
me go back. How
Okay.
did you okay, can we talk about that? How you ended up being a Pilates specialist?
Mhm.
So you were an actor, you have a dance degree, right? Um,
Mhm.
you did some work in LA and then you came back home and you opened your studio. What inspired you to do that?
I took a dance class when I came back from Colorado. Um, and I'll back up a little bit. When I was in Paris, I didn't party, as an 18-year-old. I read Alan Watts and went to the Bois de Boulogne and sat in the grass in the sun and read books on philosophy. I did buy a guitar and I tried to teach myself guitar and I was listening to Cat Stevens walking around the streets of Paris. Um, so I saw the modeling world. I had friends in the modeling world and it really turned me off, what I saw and how women were exploited. So I ended up reading a lot
Good for you.
instead of having a good time. So when I came back to Texas, I decided to move to Colorado, and then reading a lot of books, I ended up coming home and went to college. And in college, for some reason, I decided to take a dance class. And and that class, the ballet class, the jazz, it had such an impact on me spiritually and emotionally and physically that I decided to get a degree in it. I'm sorry about all the birds. I have guinea fowl in the backyard as well that have somehow adopted me, and I tried to chase them away yesterday with a hose, and they won't leave.
Do you have ducks and geese too?
I have ducks that fly in, I have geese that fly in. I'm hoarded with 2 ponds, so I see a lot of and my studio's over there, it looks out over the pond, so we're always watching geese or ducks or something fly in. It's very tranquil, and just a side note, I didn't think anybody would come out to the farm to do Pilates because I'm 15 miles north of this little small town, Palestine, where I live. I thought for sure they wouldn't come, and they did, and they love it. They love coming out because it's tranquil and there's a deck and I've landscaped everything. I've been working on the farm for about 14 years and have created
Wow.
a
Yes.
retreat center.
Yes.
So you can come for the weekend, do a workshop. Or you can just come with your girlfriends and do horseback riding and sit by the pool or, you know, go hiking and do Pilates. So sorry about all the bird noise.
No worries.
Okay. So
Lovely intermission.
yeah, yeah. So there's a koi pond with a waterfall over here. I don't know if you can hear the waterfall. So when I
Yeah.
walk out on the deck in the morning, I see the sun coming up and I have such gratitude for where I am right now in my life because it's taken me a long time to get here and to find the peace and the gratitude and um so it's a wonderful chemical release to be here. I can say that being in nature is very healing, very calming, and I want to share it with others. My first dance class was such an epiphany for me that I decided to devote my life to movement and ended up getting a degree in modern dance at the University of Houston Clear Lake. They canceled the dance program the year I was in it. So ended up the last 6 months before I graduated, I took a philosophy class with a teacher and was introduced to Joseph Campbell, who wrote The Power of Myth. And from Joseph Campbell's book, The Power of Myth, I learned about Schopenhauer and all these other philosophers. And I had already been reading about why we're here and the existence of, different definitions of God. And, it all points to the same thing, the same amazing divine design that we are, and nature as well. And so after I graduated and fell in love with Joseph Campbell, in the Power of Myth series with Bill Moyers, I moved to LA, which was the goal was to go to the dance therapy program that they had at UCLA because I wanted to take my psychology and my inspiration from movement and combine it with therapy
Mhm.
because movement heals. Movement heals. And so that's the basis of my whole new system that I've developed is using all these movement techniques into one system where you can have movement consciousness to know specifically what you're doing and why you're doing and what emotion that you're feeling and how to recalibrate from feeling lost, stressed, in flight or fight mode over here to rest, digest, enteric nervous system, vagus nerve, right? So it's taking the negative part of the red, the anger, the fury, the rage that you're in, and pulling it over here and recalibrating and moving it into power and freedom and independence. So you have the negative side of the emotion, but you can pull it over here to the positive side. And that is self empowerment, it's self regulation, it's avoiding years of therapy and analysis, it's taking your trauma, holding it, and doing movement to help you feel better so that you can go about and function in your day and be more successful and be more empowered. So back to UCLA, back to LA, I did the acting, did movement, did not get into the UCLA program, dance therapy program, either through self sabotage of not preparing my choreography enough, to not believing in myself enough. So I will say, as a human being, I had a lot of negative thoughts and self concepts about self that were limiting, very limiting. Self esteem issues, doubt, fear. I'm not smart enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not beautiful enough. And it was like I was a mess of this, even though I was inspired by movement and it was helping me. You still have to build your self esteem as you go through life. Doesn't matter how you feel, it's the matter that you take the chance and you follow your dreams. So went to LA, didn't get into UCLA, but I kept dancing, I kept moving, I was doing yoga, I was doing all types of modalities while I was failing at acting. I'm not a very good actress. I had to figure that one out, and I didn't want it enough. And but I did have fun. I made a lot
Good.
of
That part is good.
yeah. I met a lot of friends. One of my dear friends today was the photographer who did my headshots, and when I met her, she had saddles in her apartment. I was like, "Oh, you have horses?" Because I grew up riding, and we're we're friends to this day through our connection with horses.
Yeah.
And um and she's taken headshots of my children now, and it's an amazing journey. So while in LA, I was there for almost 10 years. Um, I taught I taught movement, I taught dance, and I was in acting, and I worked in restaurants. I'm the typical archetypal experience of every actress works in a restaurant. That was me, right? Running into Harrison Ford and, waiting on all these people. And by the end of my restaurant career, I had managed restaurants in LA. I had probably done every aspect of both back and house restaurants, and, by the by the end of my 10 years there, I was in a French restaurant carving côte de boeuf and Dover sole. I could do a Dover sole in 30 seconds. I mean, I was good. I had the cheese cart, I had
Ooh.
the crummer, I wore a tie, and, Gwyneth Paltrow's parents always used to come in, and all the producers from the big, Summer Redstone and Joanna, the Arquettes, Courtney Cox and her husband Arquette, they would come in and get the roasted chicken. It's just I have all these vivid memories of being there, and, my roommate was a cousin of Don Henley's. So
Mhm.
here you are, struggling actress, my roommate's Don Henley's cousin, and you end up going to his wedding, running into Sting and Billy Joel and, you know, riding his horse that he had in Malibu at the time. He had a ranch out in Malibu. And it's just so funny, like the 7 degrees of separation. One of my other roommates later on down the road while I lived in LA was related to Holly Marie Combs, who did Charmed. And, these names might not mean anything to anybody, and that's showing my age, but they did this Charm series, and that was with Shannon Doherty and Alyssa Milano. So here I am hanging out with them. We're going to country western places to go two-stepping. I'm riding with them in the Hollywood Hills because I leased a horse. I couldn't pay my rent, but I leased a horse in the Hollywood Hills so I could go riding with everybody.
The things you do.
My priorities my priorities were straight, okay?
I hear you.
And so I remember one time, house sitting for Holly Marie Combs because they were out of town and taking care of her dogs and pets and roommates with her mother and ended up, you know, it's just so funny that that was my experience of being in
But that
LA.
wasn't your passion, though?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
That wasn't your passion to stay in that world?
I'm acting and I'm auditioning and I had agents in down in San Diego and I had agents in LA. And by the time I got my SAG card, I didn't want to do it anymore. I just wanted to come home.
You know.
I just wanted to come home. And so when I
What
came, yeah,
was something particular inspiring you, or did something happen that you were like, "This is my silver lining"?
it's the grind.
Ah,
It's the grind. At the end, I lived in Venice, had a great house. And, but, after 10 years, you want to get married. You want something more than just the glamour of LA.
mhm.
So it didn't represent enough. And my drive to open a business had been formulated there, but I couldn't afford it. There's no
Eh,
way I could have opened what I did when I moved back to Houston.
and what happened when you came back? Did you already have a plan, or you just moved
I
back
moved
to
to
figure?
Austin. I moved to Austin, went, immediately started, I had been doing yoga and Pilates and decided to really focus on Pilates as my, um, because of the popularity of it. Like right now, there's a boom in Pilates, and that was happening in 2000. And I moved back in 2001, and it was right after 9/11 happened, and I was in Austin. The another epiphany. I have to do what I'm supposed to do. I feel this calling
Mhm.
and this passion to teach movement because of what it did for me, um, and the confidence I gained from it and the joie de vivre of being here. So I went into a training program, and within a year, I had opened up a business in Houston, 4,000 square feet, which is
Okay.
huge.
The pictures are on your website.
Yeah, the old studio is
So
there.
beautiful.
Um, I had a dance room where I taught, my special class of stretch and movement, and, I have a sense of humor, so I called my dance Pilates yoga class because it combined all of it, a little bit of Lottie Burke method, stretch and movement that will whip you into shape. So I called it S&M for short. So it just being fun, stretch and movement that will whip you into shape. Had T-shirts done. Anyway, that was 24 years ago. And so I had such a big vision because yoga wasn't really big in Houston yet, and it was booming in Santa Monica. Max Storm, the Keller brothers, everybody was Yoga Works had opened, it was packed, it was such a great vibe, and it hadn't reached Houston. It had been in LA and New York, and so I opened this huge studio with this big yoga room, and then I opened up the other rooms were full of Pilates equipment, so I was doing both. But
Mhm.
I really focused on Pilates and the certification program, and to this day, I still have a certification program, and it's booming. 30 people on the wait list to get in, to learn the classical methodology